All right. Hello to anyone who is watching this video on the internet. You're watching a game that was arranged through the Gauntlet, which is a community on the internet that gets together and plays tabletop role-playing games online. You can find all the stuff the Gauntlet does at gauntlet-rpg.com, where you'll find basically nexus of all the things that Gauntlet does in terms of indie tabletop role-playing games. So you find, stuff like blogs, forums. There's the zine that the Gauntlet puts out called Codex, which usually contains supplements to existing games and original games itself. I believe the newest issue, Hearthfire, just came out. Those are for subscribers to the Gauntlet Patreon. There's also the podcasting network that Gauntlet Sports. And as always, there's the Hangouts calendar to which this game is arranged. This game is a series of one-shots that myself is running for the month of July. One-shots using the game Spire. It's flipped wrong way around on my camera. Thanks for that. Spire, the city must fall. It is a fantasy punk role-playing game of intrigue, subterfuge about drow revolutionaries trying to take down the Alfear-dominated authority of this haunted, weird, magical, religious city known as Spire. It's by Grant Howarth and Christopher Taylor. And we are using a source book, well, a mission pack that they put out quite recently called Shadow Operations. This is going to be the first of 5 one-shots, each looking at a scenario from that package. Before we get into the game itself and introduce the characters that we're playing, I do want to talk a bit more about the safety tools that we're using. We already talked about lines and veils before broadcast, but the other thing I want to talk about is a set of commands called script change. I'll put the link to the dice roller room that we're using, and in that there is the relevant script change commands that we're using. So script change is basically like a safety tool to use to help modulate how we're playing and help make sure that everyone's kind of like on the same page in terms of certain materials. The Roll for Your Party has the relevant commands that we're gonna have. So you can use those if you don't want to say I want to do this. It'll just pop up in the dice roller room. So there's rewind. Rewind is when you want to back up to a specific point in a scene and do the scene over again, avoiding whatever issue led to the rewind and trying a different way. I might ask some questions on what's being rewound, and it could be anything. It could be a name, it could be the tone of the scene, or even like the scene itself. You don't have to explain why there's an issue with whatever it is that needs to be rewound. I'm not going to ask questions. I might ask specifically what's being rewound, but the most important thing is that everyone will respect when we do a rewind. We'll go back, try something else. Up next there in the dice roll room and the roll for your party is pause. Basically, pause can be called for if you need a break for any reason. And this kind of goes into the open door policy of this game. Basically, if you want to pause, either because the scene is getting quite intense and you're like, oh boy, we need to breathe, that sort of thing, or you need a bio break at any time, like you need to pee, that's perfectly fine. Or if there's an emergency you need to take care of, or if just simply you're more tired than you thought, you need to retire for the moment, that's perfectly fine. It's completely understandable. Or if you want to pause seeking clarity or discussion about the game or content, because there's quite a bit of cognitive load when you play tabletop role-playing games. Sometimes you just miss info, and it's perfectly fine to say, hold up, why are we doing this? What's happening? It's better for everyone to be on the same page, for sure. And finally, there's fast forward, which kind of ties into the when we talked about veils before recording. When you fast forward, you fade to black in advance time is needed to avoid content or elements of play, or just move forward in time. We don't need to linger in this, so we'll just move forward and try something else. I think these commands are kind of important because Spire is explicitly a game about revolutionaries. It's a game about trying to change the status quo through different kinds of missions. And the shadow operations, because they're one shots, we kind of just drop in, drop out. So we won't get a sense more of the long term subvert the system, but I do hope that everyone here will get a chance to try out the mechanics, try out the weird magic nonsense of Spire. which is is one of my favorite parts about the game. So the way I kind of want to introduce everyone and their characters is kind of like when we open up in our scenario. So I'm going to explain what the scenario is. Um, this one shot is called "The Last Train" by Nathan Blades. And I'll put a link down below where you can find Nathan on the internet and all of that. And also be a link below if you want to check out Spire and this one shot and this collection of one shots. Oh, I forgot to ask before recording. There's always one thing I forgot. We are provisioned for 3.5 hours, so I'll try to make sure we will be done in 3.5 hours. I can't say the specific time because I know it seems like we're all in different time zones, which it is what it is. But that's basically how much time we have. So the last train. It starts in front of a train station in the Spire. But the thing with Spire is like there are no trains that run in this city. There was an attempt to start a subway, the haunted tunnels known as the Vermissian Network. It was a failed attempt to add an underground transport system to Spire around a century ago. Was it really planned well? Repurposing ancient technology, digging tunnels where tunnels shouldn't be. Now it's just a bizarre nightmare labyrinth. Psychic energy is just seeping from the depths because they dug in different places. We're not even going to talk about heart. That's a different place entirely. But they, pieces from down below go up in these tunnels and they change the Vermissian network. Big tunnels network system, that's good for an underground revolutionary movement like the Ministry of our Hidden Mistress. But it's hard to get a grasp with because it's just so damn weird. But there are rumors that there is one running locomotive in this network. This ancient technology known only as the last train. It's not the train itself that's important, though. Shell. It's you bolt stuff on it. What's important is the mysterious power that drives it. If repurposed or replicated, this could revolutionize transportation methods for the resistance. So I think when we open up, we're gonna open outside Polaris Station, which is kind of like it's kind of like a major terminus for the Vermissian was being constructed. So when we open up, we're kind of like imagine like the concourse of like an ancient like train station. I say ancient, maybe like a century ago old train station. Like it's dusty, it's rickety, and there are people who have made booths who are like gathered about. It's a hub, but it's a hub full of whispers, full of just people who want to not make themselves known, because who else would use a major network like that than people who have something to hide? Standing somewhere in this train station is your magister. Magisters are like higher ups in the Ministry of our Hidden Mistress, and this one is specific magister of this cell. You know that her name is Mote. A tall, thin drow wrapped in swirling black cloth like a closed umbrella. So when we kind of like open, I kind of want to get like not introduction, but like what do we see of your character as they kind of like stride into this station, and looking for the magister, and here's the chance for you to introduce like your character. But first I kind of like if it's okay, I do kind of like what's the opening shot we see of them, and then we can delve into their name and what their class is and whatnot. So I'll give you a moment to think about that, but we're gonna start left to right on the character keeper, if that's okay. So sorry, John, you're gonna be you're up first.
No worries. So I'm playing Uther. Uses he/him pronouns. So Uther, his durance was as a laborer. He's now a firebrand, which, from what I read and how I interpreted it, was this very like resistance fighter, someone who is a charismatic person, out there talking to people, working up crowds, taking action through that way. So I think maybe our opening shot of Uther is him coming back to this train station, and maybe you see him, shoving some like small leaflet pamphlets of the resistance that maybe he's been out kind of distributing and working people up and trying to bring people to the cause, and he's like stuffing them back into his pocket now as he has returned back to this area and is looking for the Magister for Mote.
Nice. Cool. So the camera sees, Uther and his pamphlets. There are probably like others reading different pamphlets. Theirs are like purple colored. I don't know what Uther's pamphlets are colored, but
I think they're like a pale yellow. It's almost like yellow, but like kind of like a bit of like smeared ink from where they've probably been run from some like underground printing press, and the ink doesn't set really well.
that's really cool. Yeah, and then the camera pans away or moves through the crowd in this like kind of like barely lit. I'm imagining as well this train station is kind of lit from below. There's just like this weird pale blue light coming from the floor as we sneak around and we come across Bodhi's character.
So my character is Elena, and she's very comfortable in this place because it's an entrance to the Vermissian Network, and Elena is a Vermissian Sage. And these weird non-Euclidean tunnels have been repurposed as a library to record kind of drow history and kind of all sorts of information. And so what you see is Elena quite casually kind of slight build, quite short, drow woman, but moving confidently and with alertness because her endurance was as a hunter. So she's aware of what's going on around her, but she's coming from the opposite direction you might expect someone who's just come into the station, because she's, of course, come in from the Vermissian Network rather than from the main street, because that's where she was spending her time.
Lucky that we have a Vermissian Sage in this mission into the Vermissian. At least the ministry's on top of things. Yeah. I think like Elena kind of like stands out because at this moment there aren't that many Vermissian Sages or like people who look like they know what they're doing in this network. So and also she's a main character, so she has to stand out. That's just how TV works. So we watch Elena for a moment, thinking, just confidently maneuvering her way through the crowds, and the camera loses her, almost like she slips away, and comes to find your character, Paul.
Yeah, I think we see the camera actually pan up, and up, and the platform gets lower and lower, and basically we see Krell, him, stood on a balcony way above the railway platform, and you see him turn away from the camera and don a mask. Krell quite often wears his mask, and then you see him grab a rope and basically silently descend down to the back of the railway station. And then you see a flick of his hand, the rope then descends, he stows his rope, moves through the shadows to our contact.
Hell yeah. Okay. I want to take a moment, now that we have all three characters on screen, to establish some bonds, because that's kind of like the last thing we probably have to do. So if I remember correctly, I'll put a link to back to the character creation where all the classes are, and each one has like a PC bond question. And we don't have to be like too granular about this because this is a one shot. But it'd be nice to like, because bonds do have some mechanical flavor in the book. So I would like to like at least establish that. So let's start. Let's kind of snake back around and come and start with Krell, our bound. What's the PC bond for character class?
Okay, for the bound, you have an individual level bond with a member of the downtrodden underclass. Name them and name the things that's most important to them. Do you want PC one?
I'm trying to think. Do we have?
There's the NPC one and the PC one.
Yeah, I think I'll go with the PC one. But actually, you know what? Let's do both. Because
okay,
I don't know.
We'll start with the PC one. It's more interesting. Let's get somebody else involved.
Yeah.
So I have a bond with one of the other PCs who I've rescued from a dangerous situation. Describe the situation that they found themselves in. I think this one could be quite easy. My bond's gonna be with Uther. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Because Uther is a firebrand, he's actually been picked up at various times by the guards. And that is actually my background. So I know my way around a guard station, a precinct. So while he's a member of the resistance, clearly we don't want that the information he holds falling into the hands of the city guard. So you see me sneak in and rescue Uther.
Is that okay with you, Uther?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Do we both mark the bond, or just
it's
Krell marks it?
It's just Krell marks it, and there's a box for PC bond. I would say like PC bonds, they are kind of like mostly flavor. Like NPC bonds have mechanical weight, but I was thinking that like because you're delving into a place where maybe NPCs the only one who have is the Vermissian Sage, so I was kind of like forego NPC bonds. PC bonds are just here to like make sure everyone knows everyone. You don't have to be like.
Sounds good.
So yeah, this is on Krell's box. So we go from Krell to Elena. What's your PC bond?
So I know a secret about another PC, and I have to say who it is, what the secret is, and whether they know that I know or not. And I'm going to say that I have a bond with Krell, and if Paul's okay with that, I'm going to say that Krell still retains a connection with some people in the guard that means that he wouldn't
Did they freeze for you as well?
Yeah, it's frozen.
Oh dear. Oh, perils. Oh. Getting there.
I think that Krell talking about this in hushed tones in a bar one time, that kind of his loyalties are still divided with certain members.
Bodhi, your internet froze for a moment, so we didn't actually hear the actual secret. You froze just as you were saying, "I know that," and then you came back saying, "So we talked about this."
Oh no!
Such a secret.
Oh wow! Okay, so it's that that Krell still retains a connection with certain members of the guard, which means that he would be unwilling to do something like take them out on instruction from the ministry. He has divided loyalty there.
That sound good to you, Paul? And yes, you talk about it in hushed tones in a bar. Okay, cool. So write that in to Elena's PC bond there. And last but not least, Uther.
Okay, so mine says you have a bond with one of the other PCs who you recruited to the cause. Say who and say what it was that tipped them over the edge. I'm having a hard time picturing Uther recruiting Elena. So that would leave Krell. So I'm wondering if maybe, does it make sense this time that Krell saved Uther from the guard? Was Krell maybe not fully in the resistance at that point? You know, maybe it was just sort of like that's when the cracks were beginning to splinter, and Uther kind of brought him further along. Does that sound good?
Hell yeah. Everyone's pals with Krell. Cool. So now that we know our PCs, let's come back to where we are. So Polaris Station. The three of you are converging at Mote Anpi. Forgot an I there when I posted their name is not Mote Ant. It's there should be an I at the end there. And as soon as like she just knows the three of you are at the vicinity, she just immediately kind of like whirls towards a direction, towards like a tunnel out of Polaris Station, and it's just clearly she's like, you know, walk with me, talk with me, that sort of thing. And she's just kind of like talking real quick. She's just saying, our tech running efforts here in Vermissian, they're ponderous to say the least. Large shipments are too easy to intercept, and individual couriers are so flighty that some have flown away with our equipment. What we need is heavy-duty, tried and tested technology. We need the last train. You know what that is, right, Elena? I don't have to explain it to you compared to everyone else, right? Okay, all right. But well, technically, there's a more precise term for what the last train is, but you know the fabulous, the storytellers. Of course, they've given it a name, so it's evocative. So the two of you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Right. The Vermissian Network was supposed to ferry people all over Spire, but now it's just a maze. Except for the last train. It's nothing like what we have on the surface. It's lightning quick, strong as a phalanx. Perfect. Treat this as recon or theft. I don't care. I must find out what makes that train tick and how we can use it to supercharge our own efforts. Just think about it. We succeed. And she says this as she's looking at you, Krell. You'll never exhaust yourself on a staircase again. Just
Very well. So it will be done. So is the will.
We've had intel that the last train will be coming to a conduit on the other side of the ticket inspector's gate. Whatever's beyond that, that's up to the three of you. All I need for you is to get past the gate, find the train, and subvert it to our will. Any questions?
Do we know of any guards? Is it well guarded, the train?
The train is like lightning on tracks. It's hard to tell. We know of its existence. We know it's coming soon. Whatever's powering it, well, if we knew of it, we wouldn't be having this mission. I will tell you about the ticket inspector, though. She is an ornery creature. She is much like yourself, Elena, except that instead of a sage, she is a knight of the Vermissian. Part of those ridiculous clowns who go down to the heart. She has lofty notions of who should have access to the last train. So you'll have to get through her. Either you have to prove yourself to her or you dispatch her. Doesn't matter. You just need to get past her. If you have to scale the gate to get to where the conduit is, doesn't matter. What matters is you have to get to the train.
I know better than to ask about your sources, but that's impressive. Like the sages never managed to figure out the timings of the trains. So yeah, I'm impressed.
I've told the sages time and time again, and I've told you this before, Elena. You will have to talk outside your circles. I don't want to treat the ministry as if it's a chance for us to expand our knowledge. I know the ministry has loftier aims, but it doesn't hurt when the chance to expand knowledge and the chance to expand our struggle coincide. And I think like as you're kind of like walking, you turn like the corner. You're kind of like this low lit tunnel again. It's like weird pulsing lights from below, and you turn around and you see the tunnel kind of like widens out to like like almost a hangar level kind of terminus. You see train tracks crawling all over the ceilings, leading up into tunnels upwards. You see like barely constructed gates. Actually, I'm gonna ask y'all to help paint the scene here. In this hangar, and you will see like there's a bunch of like stuff that's being built that was left abandoned in construction. What do your characters like first notice? And this is a technique that I'm stealing from a bunch of GMs, just painting the scene, basically ask you all to contribute a detail of this hangar. The one I'll add is like you can clearly see the massive like gate that's kind of like made of this dark blue metal that seems to be one solid shape. And Mote is kind of like, we'll just point a finger to that. But what else do your characters notice about this hangar? Like, it's not an actual hangar, but it's the size of a hangar. And if anyone's an idea, feel free to jump in.
I think we see a large collection of workers, sort of heavily downtrodden, crouching around a small little burner, cooking up some food, and they really do look like sort of heavily beaten, dishevelled, and not in a good way.
Yeah. Not the loveliest place to hang out.
I think the hangar also has these, what look like when they were first built were these very large, ornate, like huge stained glass windows, right? These very, very impressive displays, but now they are mixtures of like caked in dirt. Some spots are boarded up from where they've been damaged, and they no longer really allow any amount of light through. It gives the entire inside this like brown tint from all the dirt that's on the windows.
And I think we see in the distance, kind of in the far reaches of this hangar towards where the tracks go into various tunnels, you see evidence of the kind of non-Euclidean weirdness of the Vermissian kind of spilling out. You see kind of Escher-esque impossible geometries of tracks kind of disappearing into the fourth dimension and then reappearing, and kind of impossible shapes. And you see to kind of illustrate that, you see a rat kind of scurrying along one of the tracks, and then kind of turns into this weird spiral, and then 2 seconds later appears kind of from nowhere about 50 yards away. So there's kind of
your internet did make you sound non-Euclidean there for a moment. We got, yeah.
sorry about
No, it's fine. I think we got the gist of it. Rats moving from one place to another. It's you did add to the tone, for sure. And I think like Mote just says, we need not the actual train itself. If this will make your mission easier, we just need to know how it works. I suppose the gear runners, well, they can replicate. Hopefully they can, but fair luck to the three of you. And yeah, she has pointed the gate to like where they know the last train is like coming towards. And yeah, for a moment it's just the three of you. You can see the gate in the distance, big, dark blue. You can see like a figure like standing nearby, a rather tall figure that stands out because you can see them from far away. They look like they're clad in like silver and rusted bits, for sure. So I guess like so I'm gonna say like the three of you probably like just go up straight to the gate, unless you want to go a different way. I'm perfectly fine with that. You want to chart another route?
No, I'm good with the way we know.
You sure you got a Vermissian Sage with you? No, I'm kidding. It's fine. So I think like the three of you walk to the gate, and yeah, this figure comes into focus, and this this figure looks like they look like a what if a medieval knight, but their armor is made of like rusted engine parts. They have like what looks like a carriage door for a shield, and they have like this helm that's kind of like it's cylindrical, for sure. You can't tell what if they're drow or Alfir or human. Definitely not a gnoll. But there's just like a slit, a small slit through like the helmet. And she looks at the three of you and says, "Come to seek passage true to the Vermissian."
We have indeed.
What is your purpose?
like a pan.
No.
My companions and I. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
My companions and I seek knowledge. As you can see, I am a sage of the Vermissian.
I too was once a sage. What would you use this knowledge for, fellow sage?
Surely knowledge is its own reward.
You can't tell if they're impressed or not because of the helm. So their gaze, as soon as you say that, their gaze immediately just falls off you into the other two. You follow your companion's goal. Do you two seek knowledge for its own sake?
I seek knowledge for the benefit of those that have been driven low.
As do many. And yet still, those driven low still remain. Will you bound one?
I seek knowledge to drive us higher, raise us.
Then what have need of you of our train? This train, the last locomotive, it runs only on this network, on these grounds. If you seek higher, well, what need you have of it?
Knowledge within the train. As my compatriot said, we seek knowledge.
I think like there you see like one of their gauntlets like flex, the one holding the big carriage door. Actually no, the one that's not holding the big carriage shield door. I kind of like flex a bit. You say, actually hold on, let me look at my notes. Let's see here. Forgive me, but knowledge for the sake of knowledge seems a tad masturbatory. Their gaze goes back to Elena.
As I was going to say as Krell here, but I presume we'll be wanting to use fake identities here potentially, or are these our cover identities? I'll just go ahead and use the name because it's easier. As my companion here said, how else are we to raise ourselves from the state that we find ourselves in here, in the Spire, if not by the acquisition of knowledge?
Okay, so here's a chance to demonstrate how rolling works, because sounds like you trying to get past this gatekeeper, and we're gonna roll to see see how this uncertain outcome works. So let me run through how rolling works in Spire, since we talked about how everyone here is new to it. When your character performs an action and the game master asks you to roll, we go to the dice roll to the dice roll we're using, and you are gonna roll. Well, we're gonna build a dice pool of d10s. You start with one d10 for pure luck, and if you have the skill you needed, you add a second d10. If you have the domain needed, you roll another d10. This sounds like a compel, and the domain is academia. It sounds like, or technology. Domain is kind of like it helps if like you're in the same kind of like general area or like same kind of like place. Would you say that Elena has the right skills and domains for this situation?
Yeah, has both compel and academia or technology, whichever one. So it doesn't matter which one you choose there. So yeah, so that is 3.
Yes. And you have a mastery over action, skill, or domain. You roll another d10, but you don't have any of those, so that's fine. Cool. So you're gonna roll 3 d10s. Let me actually see stats of this thing. I say thing, this card. Okay. Okay, so there's a thing called difficulty as well. Difficulty depends on the situation or on the person you're fighting or you're targeting. If an action is difficult, the GM subtracts dice from your pool equal to the difficulty. This person has difficulty of 1, so you will lose 1 d10. So you're rolling 2. And basically, you want to roll over 5. You will take the highest, basically. You don't add them up, but we'll take the highest from the dice pool. So roll me 2d. Those are d12s. No worries. Yeah, the placing of the box is like, yeah, I can see why. Yeah, it's the left box, not the right one. Don't worry about it. Okay, 6. So 6 is success at a cost. Cost is usually stress. So let me look at your stress boxes. Ooh. I think like they peer at you and they say, "What's your name, Sage?"
My name is Elena.
Helena. The three of you may pass, but I must insist on accompanying you to the ends of your journey. I'm curious to see if you will be able to wrangle the last train down. See if you can wrangle it from its current masters.
Who are its current masters?
People who fancy themselves as masters of magic, who are in many ways above Spire and above its conflict. They have the train, and that is all they need. And I think like as she says this, she goes over to the gate, and there's like a big indentation in the gate, and she pushes the carriage shield into it, and you hear this like strange like unlocking mechanism as this solid piece of metal. You can't see the seams, like, but as it opens up, it's weird, but it's hard to like see. I did say success at a cost. Well, part of the cost is that she's with you now, judging you for everything you do. But you will take stress. Stress is kind of like stress determines if you get hit by conditions and whatnot. It's kind of like reverse HP. You don't want a lot of it. So, and stress and how hard you get hit by stress is determined by the GM. It's usually different rolls of dice. So, Elena, I'm going to ask you to roll a d6. And this stress is going to be against your reputation, which is pretty good. You have a lot of resistance there.
And I take 5 stress.
All right. Yeah, that's not the worst. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And whenever you take stress, or roll to see if you get hit by fallout. Fallout are like conditions that might be good or bad. And what happens? I roll a d10. If I roll underneath the number of stress that you have in that tracker, you're gonna get hit by fallout. Or I rolled a 5, so you don't get hit by fallout. It's fine. So you're fine for now. But that means that because when you get hit by fallout, you lose stress. But if you don't get hit by fallout, you don't get a condition, but you keep that stress for now. I'm just going to keep building up. There are 3 ways to get rid of stress. One is to fulfill your refresh action, which each of you have. All of you have the eliminate an enemy of the ministry refresh, but each of you have your unique class refreshes. The other one is to lay low, which we can't do. We're in a one shot. And the third one is to get hit by fallout, which is the most costly way to reduce stress. And the resistance actually means that that kind of like negates that number of stress. So you actually have 5 stress in reputation, but you actually have 3 stress that I'm counting, and I rolled a 5, so you don't get it by fallout then. So that I hope that's a decent explanation of how that works. It'll be more comfortable once we do more rolls. It'll make more sense. Okay, so I think we've been here for an hour, so I'm gonna call for a break. I think I'll just leave it with when the gate opens. You see, you are in this like clearly rocky kind of tunnel that is sloping downwards. But it's not so much the look of it, but the feel. Everything feels so electrified in this tunnel. It's tingling. And the lights from below have intensified quite a bit. The tunnel feels alive in a way that, like, the Vermissian is usually weird and confusing, but this one feels like it's breathing. It's breathing this spark. And we're gonna take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back and see how y'all do. So BRB. Okay, I think, as mentioned, the gate opens and there's this like charge of electricity in the air as you kind of like follow this tunnel being followed by this hulking Vermissian knight right behind you. Their shadow is kind of like on the 3 of you. They look. It kind. The sensation is kind of like they're almost like they're wearing power armor. Not like they look way taller than they should be for. Well, you can't tell if they're drow or Alfir inside, or even human. And I think the tunnel, it swoops down, but as Bodhi described, it's weirdly Euclidean. It's like the gravity just kind of like centers around you, so it really looks like you're the tunnel is going lower and lower and more parallel, but you don't lose your footing as you kind of go down. But then you reach a dead end. Oh, go ahead, Uther.
I was just going to ask a question. Do we even notice? Because I'm picturing that you're like walking, and it's like you're walking, and then you turn an edge, and now you're walking a different direction. Which I think, from an outside observer, right, like looks very strange. But I'm imagining that the person doing the walking. Do you even notice that you've like turned 90 degrees and you're walking down? Like maybe you can kind of process it, but if I don't know, I'm still walking. I feel like Uther, like in this process, would probably look to Elena and just be like, "Do you inhabit this place all of the time? How do you make sense of it? This is maddening in a way."
You don't make sense of it. You just get used to it. If you start to feel dizzy, close your eyes for a moment, because you can't. This stuff you can't feel any different. It just looks weird. So close your eyes and you'll be fine. But don't close your eyes for too long.
I assume, Krell, you're fine with this since you're used to going up high places. Well, what's a bit of non-Euclidean geometry for you?
Exactly. It could be an advantage.
Yeah. So I don't know how much of an advantage you find once you reach this dead end. So the tunnel just stops. Of course, it just doesn't stop anywhere. It stops at this wall that you see is absolutely covered in copper wires and complicated devices and apparatus. This is like a big Sistine Chapel wall size dead end. And instead of a painting, it is a complex geometry of figures and machinery. It's kind of like pulsing slightly. All copper wires and carefully faceted like crystal. And there's, you can then, it's not the only thing that's there. There's also because of the immensity, that's like the first thing you see. But there is like a small cabin as well, kind of like next to the wall in the center.
You deceived us, ticket inspector? Where is the train?
This was something I had to divine for myself as well, bound one. I'm not here as a guide, as you say. I am an inspector. If you can divine how to bring forth the last train, then you might be able to divine what it can do.
Very well. I suggest we investigate the shack.
It seems like a safer option than directly investigating that. I would advise pointing at the big wall. I would advise against touching that.
Keep a close eye on it, nonetheless. So, to the shack.
I think when you approach the shack, it's eerily silent. For sure, like nothing like is nothing's like there's no sound, no ambient sound or anything. Like there's it feels completely derelict. I would say like it's a one-story shack that's kind of like made out of like corrugated like iron. It feels like it's just built in the higgledy-piggledy kind of manner. It stands in contrast to the big wall, because the big wall looks like it's carefully designed, carefully maintained, while this shack was just kind of built next to it. But it is eerily silent. I would say like it's a shack that's big enough to. I was going to use my living room as a suggestion. I realized you're not in my living room. How can you tell? The size of a living room. There we go. I'll just say that. Size of a living room of a two-story house. No, we have more than one story. Okay, I should stop talking about my house. And yeah, it looks fairly innocuous.
Are there any windows?
None whatsoever.
Okay. Is there a door?
There is what looks like a sheet that kind of looks like it could be a door. It stands out.
What is proper etiquette in the Vermissian? Do we knock or do we just enter? And I'm looking to Uther, or sorry, I'm Uther. Looking to, I think between like Elena and the knight.
Knight's not going to say anything. They're just standing there.
Uther still looks to them expectantly.
People don't tend to live down here. I don't normally knock. At which point I walk up and kind of pull back the panel and kind of peer around and see what I can see.
Realize I'm muted there. I think when you peel it, the sound is loud in the scraping sound, and you can feel like there's this like there's literal electric tension in the air, and you'll see there are people inside the shack. That's the first thing you see. Anything else inside you can barely tell, but like there's like 5 people in a circle. They are on their knees, hands on their knees, all facing kind of like each other in a circle, and they're like humming, eyes closed, and they're like wearing a variety of masks. It's all like a weird collection of people, and they're just kind of like humming. They're kind of so it's not really humming, it's more like a low breathing. What do you do?
I have a question. I'm inside. We're inside the Vermissian, but I presume we're not inside the vault.
No, yeah, the vault is a specific place
Okay.
in the Vermissian.
Okay, I figured that would be too convenient.
So you'd have to go there if you have questions.
So I think I do I recognize what's going on here from my experience with the occult?
Who? Let me look at the notes on these people. I would say no. I think you can tell, yeah, there's some ritual going on, for sure. But it's not something that seems familiar to you. At least not from there, not from just looking.
Mhm.
I will draw one of my pack of lucky cigarettes and say to these guys that are bowing, a cigarette to the first man that tells me where the last train is.
This is a roll. For sure. Okay, so you started one with luck. Don't worry if you don't have like this relevant skill or domain. That just means you have less dice. You can do any command, even if like you have 5. It's just you'll have less dice for it. So anyone can like try to beat up anyone. That's basically like how the dice rolling here works. So don't be afraid to like, even though you don't have the right skill or domain, to like don't be afraid to do anything. I'm saying this because Krell, you don't have compel, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, so we started 1d10 for luck. I think that's it. Let me look actually their secret of lucky breaks. Oh, so you always have stuff to offer. That's fair. That's fair. That's good. I think that lowers the difficulty because you have a cigarette. Normally there's a difficulty of 1 to talking to these blokes, but you're offering a cigarette. So that means you don't lose dice, which is good. But you only have the 1d10.
Okay, let's see if I.
That
5.
is... Ooh, it's a 5. Oh. So let's see. I said 5 and above. That's my mistake. It should be 6 and above, and I said no. 5 is like the cusp of failure. I'm sorry.
Failure is.
Okay, so oh dear, you've disturbed them in the ritual. I think the moment one person sees the offering you have and opens their mouth, the wall hums. It starts humming, and you can feel the static around you start to shift. And as soon as that, all the other 4 rituals just like open their eyes, and they look really panicked, and they're like, "Oh no, 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 no!" And the one who looked at you, Krell, is like, "I'm sorry. I haven't had a smoke in a long time." And as the wall starts to like shiver and shake, you can see the crystals start to like light up. These warps of like electricity starts kind of like spawning, or not, like they start arcing out, and one of them hits the guy who you offered a cigarette with. And what it does, it's like it kind of like pushes out like this weird electroplasmic copy of the guy, and the guy just kind of falls to the ground unconscious, and the other 4 is like, ah, shit. But they don't say shit, they say the fantasy Spire equivalent of shit. And they kind of like gather around the guy. Meanwhile, this strange electroplasmic creature kind of like hunches up. It started off in the shape of that person, but it looks at you, Krell, and you can see suddenly it's starting to take on shapes of you as it's looking at you, and it looks like it's growing in a bit of stature. And then it grows from it's a weird like electroplasmic blue white creature, and it starts to like grow what looks like a facsimile of your god knife from its hand. So that's a failure for you. I would say you also will have to take stress. I'll say this is only a D3. It goes D3, D6, D8 is usually the damage, the stress die. But you're gonna take a D3 against reputation because actually no. Actually, I say reputation. Why did I say that? Oh, I was looking wrong. No, I'll say this actually to your to mind because this is a lot going on. So roll me a D3. Did you roll the dice? Or?
Oh no, I haven't rolled it.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Let me spawn a D3 dice. Bonk. All right. So there's the purple die.
I cannot see the said purple die.
Can you not? Oh, gosh.
There it is. Yep, yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Okay, here we go. 2.
Okay. So I'm don't worry about stress. I'm the one keeping track of it. So,
No
but
problem.
you can all see it. So, roll for Fallout. Roll the 6. So you're still fine. Your mind's still fine. Still good. It's just that you accidentally summoned this weird photovoltaic creature who's drawing a knife on you. I'm gonna turn to Uther, if that's okay. Uther, how are you doing? The crowd of mages are panicked. They're gathered around their fallen friend. This electroplasmic creature has appeared. What do you do?
I think I think Uther is going to attempt to fight this electroplasmic creature and try and beat it back, and then maybe at the same time throw out a suggestion to the group of like, do we need to get these mages under control, like soothe them or something? But then I'm gonna engage this emergent creature.
All right. Hell yeah. Okay. Let's do this. Let's start with a D10. Let's see. Let me look at your moves. Okay.
So I have a knife and a revolver. I suppose I would try the revolver first if it's got a knife. That seems like a bad idea.
That is fair. Yeah, absolutely. You have the knife. All right, let's do this roll. You have D10 for luck. Maybe you're trying to fight this thing. You don't have fight, do you?
I don't have fight.
Yeah.
And
in some
I'm
ways,
guessing this is not an enemy that is part of the order domain.
no. Order is kind of like guards. The Alfear domination. You're kind of like it is interesting to see kind of you out of your element a bit. But so you got one D10.
Okay. Let's see.
That's
One
fine. D10s.
And this. Okay. That is a 3.
Oh Jesus. Okay. Oh, I should have added as well that everyone can assist for sure. If they have the relevant fight or domain. It's just that
I do indeed have fight.
Okay, all right. How let's Because I forgot to do it, you definitely you can give Uther a D10. That's how assist works. How is Krell assisting this in this?
I'm going to throw my knife in with his revolver shot as a sort of a distracting move.
Mm-hmm.
So it dodges more into his bullet path.
Heck yeah! All right.
Okay, so roll one more D10.
Yes.
That's a 5.
Jesus Christ! Wow. Don't worry. Look, it's a one shot. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. So on a 5 is a failure. That means you will also take stress as well, Uther. You throw your knife, and Uther, you take the shot. Both of them lodge into the creature, and you can see it hanging inside its body. And you can see it standing out in the photovoltaic energy. And it just like it hunches like forward as if like it's hunches backwards as if like it's rearing to like go. And then it just launches forward against the two of you, smashing the two of you out of the shack, back into the tunnel. Both of you will take a D8 stress to blood.
Let's see, 1d8. That's a 7. And so since I have 2 in blood resistance, do I only mark 5? Okay, yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I got it. I'll mark all of it, but like the 2 kind of like basically negates bits of it. Crow, how about you? How did you do?
I'll roll that dice.
Mm-hmm.
6.
Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Roll fallout. Fine. Okay, that was for Uther. You have 5 stress accounts. I rolled a 6. So you're still grand. No one's hit with fallout yet. That's amazing. What about Krell? That's a 10. All right, you're also doing fine. Jesus Christ. You're racking up the stress, but yeah, the two of you are knocked out of the shack as this creature kind of like zooms forward. The two of you can feel the ticket inspector raising an eyebrow at the two of you. I don't know how you can't see it, but you can feel them raising an eyebrow. Meanwhile, it's cut to Elena, who's still in the shack. And there's like these 4 mages, or these 4 like people. Well, you can tell they're what the ticket inspector called mages. They're like they're just trying to shake their friend awake, who's kind of like who's murmuring. So they're not dead, but they are like murmuring to themselves. But you can sense that, you can see that like there's some energy from the wall that's coursing through them. And then coursing out to the outside. What do you do, Elena?
I speak to them I try to make it a sort of commanding yet calm tone, something that kind of takes control of a kind of panic situation. Say, look, what's your plan? If this went wrong, what's the next thing that you do?
All right. Okay. Let's make this another roll. Because they are in a panic state. There's no difficulty to this, so you've got 1 die. This is under compel, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. That's 2 for compel, and what's our domain?
Technology. I think you can tell this is a technological apparatus. You're kind of built for this mission, Elena.
It wasn't deliberate, but I'll take it. Let's see. So that would be 3. So let me get another D10 up on the roller. I'll re-roll them all just so I'm rolling them at once. And that is a 9.
Hey, so a 9 is, well, it's just a success. It works. So basically, you'd want to roll 8 to 9 is a success with no stress. 6 to 7 is success at a cost, and a 10 is a critical success, which is really good. So I think like one of them will like stand up. They're wearing like these really terrible beige robes. Like, why would anyone wear them? It's just like it's not Spire chic. And they've got like this as mask that's kind of like almost it would have been like fully like blank face, but there's like a crack so you can see like their eye is panicked. I can tell this is a drow. And they're like, you shouldn't have disrupted the ritual. Well, it's our friend here. He got, why was your friend offering cigarettes in the first place anyway? This is a highly complex ritual. Do you know how many beings comprise the last train? To commune with them is like having a debate with 20 different committees, and you've disrupted it. You've disrupted it.
Yeah, I know that, but he didn't. And let's just focus on moving forward now. What's the next step?
Elena might have known that, but Bodhi, did you know that?
Oh no, Elena didn't know that. I'm
That's fair. That's fair. Wait a second. I'm gonna see if there's like. Okay, cool. And then they're like, "Well, the problem is you've kind of caused a disruption in the schedule. The last train is coming. We just need to prepare ourselves to get on board. First, we need to deal with this intrusion. We will need to pacify the bug, the excess, the thing out there. And there are many ways we can do that. We can like wake up our friend here, or you can, I guess, your friends seem like fighters. I'm sure, surely they can beat down that creature. Cut to the creature standing up, looking down at two of you. Go ahead, Elena.
It looks electrical. Is there some way we can ground it out?
That would mean tampering with the apparatus, with the wall, with the conduit. We have know-how on its workings, but it would be tricky.
I kind of step outside of the cabin and I try and see where it's being where this beam is being projected from in the workings that's going towards the downed member, and at the same time I'm kind of asking them the same questions I'm looking for, kind of where's this being projected from, where's the key?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll say that like while you're working on that, I'm not gonna make a roll for this because they're the ones who meant to be expert at this, and you're Vermissian Sage. I'm gonna say meanwhile, while you're trying to figure that out, we'll cut back to the other two. The ticket inspector is just standing there, and again, you feel them raising an eyebrow at the two of you. This creature, you can see it's gaining a bit more definition. It's gaining a weird amalgam of Krell and the engineer mage it's projected from. And you can see like the shot and your knife is hanging there, and Krell's knife. Although, Krell, your knife does have the tag reload, so you can just get it back.
The reload is I have to go and pick it up. Yeah, it does say that in the description that I have to recover it.
Okay, all right. it's you want to give it a shot. But what do you well, what do you do?
I need that knife contains a god. I need the knife back.
Ooh.
So, do you say it's hanging in this creature?
Yes, you can see it's like it's almost like it's floating within this creature. So that means
Uh,
it's not like as completely impermeable as say a flesh and blood being is.
I'm going to tumble towards it and basically try and sort of skirt through its legs, and as I go through, grab, sort of put my hand in it and try and pull my knife out. So I'd like to kind of recover my knife.
Hell yeah. Absolutely you can try. Let's see, you start with 1d10 for luck. This is kind of like a fight as well, because you're kind of like, ducking, diving, trying to get the knife.
I have fight.
Yes, absolutely. But I don't think you have a domain. And yeah, okay, this thing doesn't have a difficulty. So 2 dice, 2d10.
Okay, let me conjure up another d10. I'm just going to create it first. There we go.
Sure you don't want that roll? That's a pretty good roll.
It was, but no, I said that was just going to be 1 and a 5. So failure.
Okay, all right. Don't worry. It one of the principles of the game is
it's not 2 1s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, a critical failure is double stress. You don't want that. Okay. So don't worry. One of the principles of this game is you fail forward, so it's fine. So you will not be stuck fighting this thing. I will say once your hand comes into contact with this creature, because it's not directed, this is only going to be a d6 stress to mind. So roll me a d6 and then I'll tell you what Krell sees. Actually, no, I'm going to ask you what Krell sees when you come into contact with this creature. But first, roll me a d6. What is it you roll? Yeah, I think you were muted.
4. Sorry, yeah,
4.
rolled a 4.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Whew, that's a lot of stress. Let's see how you do. I will say, like, the more stress you rack up, the worse the fallout is. So in some ways, it's nice to suffer fallout when you have less stress. Oh gosh, that's an 8. So you're still doing fine. You're still doing fine, but no fallout for you yet. Oh my god, there's some really bad fallouts for when you get past the 10 stress range. But okay, Krell, your hand comes into contact, and I think the knife is so close to you, but when you connect to the conduit, where this creature is like connected coming from, what do you see? It's like your mind is connecting to the Vermissian Network. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I actually see the world when I'm touching this creature sort of in negative. So light becomes dark becomes light, and very monochromatic as well. Yeah, and actually probably while I'm touching it, I actually see the world from the creature's eyes. So I see it looking at Uther, and sort of me descend past it under its legs, and then my hand drops away.
I'm going to give you something because I just thought of it and it'd be cool. When your hand drops away, you feel yourself holding a knife. It's your knife, but it's in negative. And you can see your actual knife is still in the photovoltaic creature. You now have a negative copy of your knife. You can only use it once. But I will say it has a D6. It's a D6 instead of a D3. But when you use it, whether you succeed or fail, you will get a minor fallout.
Okay. As that is the only weapon I have, I'm going to have to use it, but I will hand over to Uther,
Yes.
who seen me duck under this creature and touch it. To you, Uther.
You've not landed a single blow on this thing.
I know it's not going great for us. But
We
fortunately,
will. We will.
I was gonna say, fortunately, one of my advances is Brothers in Arms. So this is once per situation. When you and an ally are fighting side by side, declare you're using this ability. So I'm declaring it. The next time both of you roll a fight check, both you and your ally can either increase your stress dice by one size or decrease the enemy's stress dice by one size. Choose before you roll. I don't know if I understand that, but it sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, basically, like stress die is like, because its version of HP is like stress. Is basically how much stress you inflict. NPCs have resistance, which is the number of stress they can have. And that
we still have to hit it, and then
that's
the stress dice. Okay.
Yeah, stress dice is basically kind of like weapon damage. Basically, you can see in your weapons you have like D6. That's stress die. Usually, stress die is like determined by either what weapons you have or the circumstances. When you increase,
okay.
you go from you go from one size to another. There's 3 sizes. There's a D3, a D6, and a D8. So
Okay.
you can call for this, and Paul's or Krell's negative God Blade goes from a D6 to a D8.
And so would my revolver. It would go from D6 to D8. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's go for it, and we're due for some hits.
Okay.
So yeah, I think you when you see back at Uther, you see him. I'm imagining it's like one of these like older revolvers, and so he's like, clearing the barrel a little and like readying the next shot. Okay.
Okay. So is it the same kind of like roll with an assist from Krell?
Yeah, but I don't really want to throw the. Mechanically, I'm better off doing the fighting than Uther, and Uther's better assisting me, really.
Okay.
If that's how I read the mechanics of the game, because I have fight.
Yes. I will say that Uther can only assist when if he has the fight skill. So basically, both of you are going to be rolling separate fight checks then.
Okay.
Yeah, which works better with the Brothers in Arms advance, anyways.
Yeah,
'cause
definitely.
We get it on when we do our next fight check. So yeah, I think they're just 2 different attacks.
To you, Uther, then you go first, mate.
I'm just not going to have very many dice to roll because I think I just get the 1, right?
Yes, you just get the 1.
Well, here goes nothing.
Fine.
1d10. It's a 7.
Yay! See, you're due for a good one. All right. So on the 7 is success at a cost. So you're gonna make the shot. You roll a D8 because that's your
Yep, so I
damage
get
shot.
to roll a d8 instead of a d6.
Yeah.
And that's a 1.
Oh my god. Don't worry. It'll be fine. It's all good. I would say that there are many ways to reduce some a character's resistance. Not necessarily have to be fighting. Elena's up to doing something. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You will not get bogged down by this. But yeah, you shot it. You shoot it. You're not as close as Krell is. And I think let's see. So it's success at a cost. So I think I'm gonna hit you with small stress. I think you shoot it and it looks like it doesn't flare off him, but it's like what are you gonna do? And I think it just looks at you and you can see that its face starts to taking on your characteristics, Uther. So roll me a d3 that's gonna hit your mind stress.
Okay, I'll just reuse this 1d3 we've got out here. That's 3.
Okay. All right. Not too bad. Who knows why it happened? 6. So everyone's holding on to their stress. It's a lot of stress. But yeah, it'll be fine. So now, before we come to Elena, let's go back to Krell. You've got this negative God Blade in your hand. How does that feel? You're muted. Paul? Paul, I'm sorry, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, no, it's cold. Normally metal would heat up when I hold it. It'd get warm. But I can actually feel this sort of draining body heat. So I think as I scoot under it, sort of on my knees, sliding under it, I pick up the knife that came out of it, the negative knife, and basically I sort of backhand it as I go, sort of trying to stab the creature in the back as Uther unleashes a barrage of minor damaging revolver shots. So let's see if I can do any better. Probably not.
You have more dice to roll. Because you do have
Yeah,
5.
I've got 2.
You got 2.
2 dice. Here we go.
Ooh. 9.
9
Success.
and a 2. So
Yeah.
success.
The 2 ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
All right, so roll me a d8.
Let's get a D8. Okay. And don't worry, it's as low as
Oh my gosh.
as low as anything else.
Oh my
2.
gosh. All right, it's fine. Don't worry, it's fine.
But I do take a minor fallout for using the knife.
Yes. I thought that was gonna be it. Don't worry, this thing is on its last legs. It's just, it is what it is. Let me look at these fallouts. They're a lovely group of them. I did put the Spire PDF on folder if you want to check that out. Or it's minor fallout. Okay, no, this is simple. I think you stab true, and I think for every stab you make, you get a flash of the last train, and it's coming. It's like it is like energy formed into a direction. I don't know if you stab it, you feel it coming, and you can see the wires and the crystals start to pulse. And I think you just feel yourself shaken. I'm gonna put that in your fallout, and I'll type out what it means because I need to type it out here. Basically, when you're shaken, you can't focus exactly on what you're doing. You may not gain dice from domains until it takes time to calm down, which is fine because you've not had much luck there. But I'm just putting that there. I'm being nice. That's my thing. But I think definitely, Krell, you are like feeling like, yeah. How does that make you feel when you're using this not god blade while your actual one, where your god is in this creature?
Yeah, and I think I feel more of the drain, the coldness of this dark blade, and that's what's stressing me out. That clearly this is like a negative god in this thing. So that's the thing that's sort of stressing me out. That it's clearly not my god, one of my minor gods. This is the opposite.
Yeah, it's not very helpful. Clearly, the fun thing, the nice thing with getting fallout, even though this is part of the condition, is you will lose stress. Minor fallout, you lose 3 stress. So it's not too bad. So let's cut away from our duo to Elena. I think through a series of panic gestures, and what you can tell from these mages, they're not used to speaking to people. They're used to speaking to whatever's powering the last train. So they talk in so many directions. They stop their sentences to go to another thing, to start another one. But I think they've got they've pointed out to how they at least they direct the last train. But I'm gonna ask you, Bodhi, the player, to describe what it is they detail to you to help corral this wall, so to speak.
So I think their normal method of doing things with this ritual has been disrupted here quite clearly. So the gist of it is that we need to get more direct. We need to actually physically make or break contacts on this wall itself, and the place they're pointing to is fairly kind of like high up on this wall. So like I know that kind of there's a switch is too simple. So there's maybe
There's like a configuration of like crystals, or
I'm thinking it's kind of almost looks kind of bioelectrical, like kind of like a pulsing, pumping vein, but filled with electricity, and that needs to be transferred from one kind of sphincter-like port to another.
Some lovely details here. I think in this game. Okay, so what's Elena doing to like get there and like implement this plan?
So I think that Elena needs to climb to a degree, and I'm not sure what climbing would be in terms of skills here. So
It would be resist.
Okay,
resist is like
not.
yeah.
I do not have that. Given that I'm climbing up something which is clearly occult or technology, can I claim domain here, and that I know what not to step on?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
Brilliant. So I'm attempting to climb up to this conduit that needs to be rerouted to prevent the bad stuff that's happening, to stop the bad stuff that's happening now. And I'm kind of, well, I'll roll and then I'll describe what happens based on how it goes. So
Yeah, that's be fine. That's 2d10.
And that is a 10.
Wow. Hell yeah. So a 10 is what's in this business is called a crit. Sorry. It's a critical success. So I think Uther, Krell, you see Elena, who was her endurance was a hunter. She's climbing up this apparatus as if like she was born to climb this wall. Actually, I shouldn't be describing that. You should be describing that, Elena. But I assume you do it really easily, considering it's
Yeah, I think it's that. Like I'm at some points it looks like I'm not even touching the wall. I'm swinging, and kind of at one point you see me do a little flip, kind of almost just for the flair of it, and I kind of in what seems like no time at all, I'm up at this conduit and whip it out, sparking and pulsing, and shove it into the other orifice.
Nice. So I'm not going to make you roll for that because you made this plan, you figured out this plan, and the trouble was getting there. So I'm going to ask you to roll is like another d8 to see what happens to this creature. Don't worry, it's going to kill this creature, but like we'll just see. This encounter is going to be over, so to speak. But I just want to see how much damage you do to this because there's going to be a repercussion. Well, we'll see. I'm sorry, there's just stuff in the background. But roll me a d8. And then the other thing with a 10 is that like you do get inflict +1 stress for each 10 you roll. So there's a +1 stress. So you're guaranteed a minimum of 1 stress inflicted on this thing.
So not terrible, not great. I get a 3.
Ooh, so +1, that's a 4. Ooh, I think you rip this you do your plan, and I think the wall shimmers, and and this creature kind of like rears up at Krell, who's like quite close. Uther's their revolvers, like shit. And the creature wobbles. It's like a weird static, like a TV screen wobble. Kind of like pulsates as its energy is suddenly sucked back. It's riveting back. It slams through the mage it was kind of like using as a conduit, and don't worry, he won't. That mage's not gonna die. And when it like slams back into into the wall, there's this like flash of light, and the energy's still there. The train, I think everyone hears train whistling sounds. The last train is coming, but it's not going to come in a way that that you're going to get hit by it. I think like the whole room kind of like almost like settles, and one of the mages is kind of like, so about those cigarettes. And go ahead, Krell.
This creature's still there, isn't it?
Oh no, it's gone. It's been sucked back into the wall.
So yeah, as I think I move to the side of the passageway, thinking that there could be an oncoming train, I will indeed produce the packet of cigarettes and I'll basically flick a cigarette to this guy from the packet, and we see it sort of like tumble through the air as this guy grabs it.
Yes. That I think we're going to take our second break. Let's come back at 40 past the hour. Cool. So see you then. Okay, so things have settled in this dead end. The apparatus wall is still kind of like pulsing. You can tell the last train is coming, but it's not coming at a speed that you can't predict in the middle of fighting a photovoltaic energy creature. So y'all have a moment to breathe. So there's the four mages, one of whom is smoking, not the one who asked for it when you disrupted that ritual. One of their friends. And the ticket inspector who just stood there and watched y'all. So you've got a moment before the train comes. What do y'all want to do?
I would like to take one of my cigarettes, lean against the wall, and have that sort of condor moment, a chill pill, calm down.
Yeah. I think. Hold on. I left my book on another table. On another table. Give me a second. I want to double check on something about stress. There we go. I would say actually there are actually four ways to reduce stress. There's laying low, there's the refresh action, there's suffering fallout, and there is removing stress by narrative spending time doing something that would remove stress, which would be this. If that makes sense.
I think it does say for shaken until you take time to calm down.
Yeah, and this is the time.
I think a cigarette's a good calming tool.
Yeah. Let's see. Depending on the lengths you go in order to recover. I think this is that'll be nice. This is a D6. Roll me D6, and that's how much stress removes. I try to be nice. It's a detriment. No, it's not. I don't know. Some other people can judge, but roll me a D6.
I rolled a 2.
Okay. What is up with these these rolls? So you lose. I'm gonna delete 2 stress off your blood. So it's still not bad. It's not good, but it's fine. Cool. Probably you can see the person who you give the cigarette almost like want to like side up to you and look cool smoking as well, but you look far too cool for them, so they're not going to do that. What about Uther or Elena? What are you up to?
I picture Uther after all of this, coming back to the shack, where the mages are at, and kind of just looking confused and seeming a little lost, and as everyone's apparently standing around smoking cigarettes, he's gonna ask, so are you all the masters of the last train? Do you control where it goes?
I think someone laughs. I think it's the person, the panicked one, that Elena was talking to. Let's see, what is their name? I'm not good with Spire names. That has been my bane for the longest time. Generator. Just use a beam saber one. It's fine. This one, his name is the one that Elena talked to, the one with like the eye mask drow. Their name is Kirch. Or they probably like introduce themselves, and they say, "There's no master of the last train." Well, there is Walter, the so-called conductrix, but they're not a. Anyone who believes they're a master of the last train is deluding themselves. The last train, it's not something you master. It's something you corral. It's something you try to like put in a box, and then maybe you figure out how to open the box every now and then. The last train is inside the box. The box are thieves. Us engineer mages, all we try to do is figure out how these, points at the wall, work. It's taken us a lot of time, and trying to corral the last train is like it's like I said, it's like trying to argue with like 20 different 20, 30, 40 exponential directions all at once. Some people try to figure it out using these conduits, and most of the time, well, we could barely just figure it out. There are ways to summon the train outside of these conduits, but and they throw a glance at the ticket inspector, who is again just kind of like standing there, looking like a monolith. Uh, they look like they belong in the scenery, but the costs of summoning the train is usually outside of these conduits can be a bit dire. But I suppose if anyone's interested in figuring that out, well, there are many interested parties in Spire. They just have to get on the train first.
And you said Walter is the conductor? They ride the train? They lead the train?
The other majors are like, "Oh, Walter, F that guy," and Kurt is just like, "Walter is one of us. Yeah, he was probably the best of us. He does ride the last train, and he believes that he's figured out how to direct it to his whim and not the whim of where the conduits go. But I've not had contact with him since. He's still somewhere in the train. No, if you're looking to get on the train, you will have to deal with him."
Did you say you've been having troubles with Walter?
Well, like he said, he thinks he figured out how to control it, which means that he believes he should have sole control of it because no one else figured it out. No one else is on his level. Basically, he thinks he's setting the schedule, and anyone else getting in contact is not on it. It's
So you 3, 4 don't know how to control the train. Is that what you're saying? Only Walter does.
we know how to get on and off, and sometimes we can try to slow it down, but yes, they sound really ashamed to admit that. Like, yes, only Walter knows.
Very well, and I'll turn to my 2 friends and say, Walter's the man we need to see then.
And at this point, I turn to the engineer mages. I kind of stroll up and say, how maybe try a do not disturb sign next time. Guess I just saved your asses a little bit. So how about you help us board?
Wow. I think like look at you with like, really, come on. And then they confer with each other. And Kurt comes to you and says, well, okay, all right, you did kind of save far behind, I suppose. But that all right, okay, all right. He'll be helping us get rid of Walter anyway. Help or at least deal with him and whatever he thinks he's got in store, because you do that and all we want is to figure out how the last train works. And it sounds like we're of accord with whatever your plans are, which I feel like I should ask. But since you so graciously saved us, do I even have that right?
You pretty much guessed it. We want to work out how the train works, just like you.
Right. Behind you, the ticket inspector just kind of coughs for no reason. But yeah, they will agree to help you board the last train. So I think I'll just describe how the last train appears. They've gotten you to like stand at the side. Again, the ticket inspector is there, still with you. They've not said if they're gonna leave you alone or not. And the apparatus pulses, not in the frenzied way when you accidentally disrupted that ritual. In like, you know that feeling, yeah, when the train is coming. It's that indefinable feeling. But I think electricity just kind of like sparks about, and the wall suddenly kind of like is filled with this like sparking light. It's kind of like, yeah, that bioelectrical light that you tampered with, Elena. But it's like this like sheet that covers this wall. And from the sheet, a train materializes, like it's being conjured from the electricity itself as it's coming out. And it's, okay, so let's smash together a bunch of details on what this train looks like. Let's go, yeah, left to right on the character keeper. What's Uther? What's a detail of this train that you notice?
I think it's less a detail of the train and more of like its arrival, but like as it arrives, it's like it unfolds itself from a single point of origin and like just kind of continuously, drives out of this point, as you described, with like energy arcing over it.
Yeah, I like that. What about Elena?
So I noticed that this train is ornate. It is every kind of available surface is kind of decorated and filigreed, and it's clear that this isn't just a train. This is kind of like a masterpiece of a train. This is something special.
Nice. And Crow?
I'll just take Bodhi's thing and just turn it up to 11. It's in chrome. The whole thing is sort of an electric blue, hugely detailed as Bodhi said, but yeah, it's shiny blue chrome, electric blue chrome.
It's so alien in this world. It's freaky. And I think like you see the ticket inspector just kind of like do like a sort of weird wobble with their body and they just kind of like step forward and they kind of like it's like they transmute into electricity into the train. And before you can like ask like, wait, how did they do that? The engineer mages have gotten into like the circle as well. And I think the three of you feel this wobble and you kind of like get pulled into the train. Even though it looks really nice, it looks really lovely. Like I said, it's this shiny and chrome train that's apparently materialized and dematerialized from electricity. Inside, it's a train. I think when you come in, you're in this like cramped kind of compartment space. A lot of like empty. It's empty. It's empty as well. But like commuter seating. It's I think the feeling as well is like it's fast. It is that proper magnetic train feeling of like, what the heck is this thing on? What is being powered? And I think the other thing I'll add is like there's an ambient sound of not whispering but like talking. It's like you put on like a crowd. It's like being in a pub and you're hearing like the crowd mutter around you. It's that kind of feeling like you're in a crowd and like everyone's going that kind of like sound in this train. You do hear a voice louder and above everyone else coming from like the front, just going, no, that's not where the perch is meant to be. The perch is meant to be equidistant to where red row is. So you're meant to go this way, and then so voice like louder than everything else. For the moment, yeah, you're on the last train. What do you do? How are you feeling?
Well, we really do need to find Walter. I think that's the main aim, sort of mission aim at this stage. Do we think that was Walter who we heard?
It seems
likely.
Yeah. Who else could it be? How are we going to get Walter to tell us how everything works exactly? Sheer
Bluffing seems to have worked for me so far.
There's always other methods of persuasion I'm sure.
I think I will say that like, yeah, that loud voice seems like, yeah, that's Walter. So I think you follow that up in front of the train, which again is disappointingly normal on the inside. Like, oh yeah, no, it's a train. Yeah, of course it is. Unless there's anything else, unless there's any other detail you want to add, like if something comes into your mind. But in my mind, it does feel like a normal train, to an extent, until you get to like the front. The front of the last train. Oh, go ahead.
Is the Forgotten their name. The implacable figure following us. Are they still following us?
Oh, the ticket inspector who
Ticket inspector.
who
Yes.
does have a name. I just didn't give it because they didn't introduce themselves. You don't see them. Yeah.
I wonder. I turn to the others and say, I wonder where the ticket inspector got to. Should keep an eye on them.
Agreed. He's a large unit, so yeah, we definitely need to be aware of his movements on the train, if he is on here.
Far too mysterious for my liking.
Agreed.
Just a bit rich coming from the Vermissian Sage, but there we go.
I think when you reach the front, the space widens. It's proper bigger on the inside feeling. And it's a dining hall is what it looks like. It's a large kind of like open rectangular space with like tables set out for like, you know, a meal. It's like a proper dining car is what it looks like. And there's like a buffet at the very end where like the front should be, and there's a person there. He's sitting on a table, and he looks like he's arguing to what looks like the other empty chairs around this table, around the table he's sitting at. He has like goggles on his forehead. He's a drow, I should say. He's got goggles and half a mask covering his mouth, and he has like wraps around his like hands, and he's arguing. He's pointing a finger at the other chairs, and you can hear him arguing about like, what did I tell you about the qualities of perch again? There's too many gods in that place. We go anywhere near it, we're just going to. Okay, all right, okay. Well, I guess we can swing by Red Row and try to avoid the the photophallic energies of the heart. But that's you bring the ministry close to us. That's why we don't want to go near that place. We were really close to bringing the ministry to us, and you can tell they look really harried, like they're panicking. What do you do?
Well, I think this guy needs calming down, so I will offer him a cigarette. A cigarette, friend. Take a minute. Calm down.
I think I'm going to try and stop you after what happened last time. I don't quite get there in time.
Oh yeah, it worked out well last time. You just had to find a.
Hopefully, this guy's not going to turn into some disembodied creature that's going to destroy the whole train and us. I've got faith.
Got some faith. Okay, let's. Actually, no. I don't think this is interesting yet. There's a more interesting place for this role. I think he stops. He looks at you. See up and down. And takes a cigarette. Thanks.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime.
The gesture is nice, but who the hell are you people?
I'm going to try bluffing again. Kirch sent us. Kirch sent us to help. What do you need?
Kirch sent you.
Yeah, he's had a change of heart about how he feels about you. Clearly, absence changes people.
All right, make a roll. All right. Um, one roll for luck. This sounds like a deceive, which you don't have. But technology is there. So you have 2d10. Oh, do you want to help, Krell? Because you do have deceive.
Yeah, and I think sort of offering the cigarette is the assist, the sort of easy in, called him friend. That's the deceive that he's going to put us on a easier path to the deceive.
Okay, so that's 3d10. If there's consequences, both of you receive stress.
That would be a 9.
Nice. So I think he takes the cigarette. And he takes out a lighter and starts lighting it. But I'm glad that imbecile has finally seen reason. And he stands up and kind of directs you to another table. But he tells the table he left, we'll talk later. I have colleagues to talk to. Here, this table is free of distraction. Sit down. And there's a nice meal on the table as well. And just to prove that it's safe, he takes one. It's scrambled eggs, or scrambled eggs of some species from this universe. And we'll just start eating. It's well, if you're gonna be help, you might as well be full. Come on, here, have some. The train provides. So.
Thank you. And yeah, I'll start digging in. Who were the gentlemen he was talking to? What did they look like?
You look back at them, Krell, and you indistinct in the electric charge of this place. You can see shapes on the table, on the chairs, and they come in all sorts. There is one who looks like they're wearing a gigantic outfit headdress. There's another one who looks like they are carrying a baby in their arms. It's forces that are kind of it reminds you of the feeling of knowing your small gods, your minor gods.
Oh yeah.
It's that kind of feeling. It's that kind of that kind of divinity. And he looks at the three of you, this man who is clearly Walter. I should make that clear. It's definitely him. So Kirch has decided to, I wouldn't say bow to my will, but it seems that's what he is. Although he's cowardly enough to send proxies in his wake, it seems. What has he done now that he's afraid to face me? And don't worry, because of the success, whatever you say, he will buy. So don't worry about it. And you don't have to come up with exact verbiage. You can just describe. I won't make anyone have to do dialogue if they don't want to think about it. You can just describe.
I think that I say that Kirch has begun to uncover in his own research that your methods that he disagreed with so vehemently actually turned out to be correct. He's not quite ready to admit that, so that's why he's not coming himself, but he'll get there. He'll get there.
Not what his methods. Let me guess, him and his sycophants chanting in some shack, somewhere in Vermissian. Has that gotten him to this 2D seats? Has that gotten him to converse with the last train? Well, there's a reason why he's not here and I am. But I'm glad to see he's seeing reason. I've always been, Well, I like to think I'm generous with the fruits of my efforts. It's just, I would like acknowledgement that they were my efforts. I'm not called a conductrix for nothing. But I confess, I don't seem to count you amongst Kirch's colleagues. In case you've not met me, I think he just realized he just called himself the conductress before he introduced himself. He's like, Walter Vale, at the helm of the last train. Fine cigarettes here.
I think I'm willing to tell Walter we represent the ministry.
Ooh.
Because he mentioned it, didn't he, earlier?
Yeah, he was arguing with the other things in the last train that they nearly brought the interest of the ministry to here.
Yeah, so I'll tell him they are correct, Walter. We're the ministry.
I think you say that mid puff, so that catches him off guard. Just and he grabs sorry, now I have to get a drink because I overdid that.
As he's surprised, I'm unfolding my folding crossbow so that when he looks at me again, he has the crossbow pointed at him.
I think he looks at he sees Elena, he sees Krell, looks at Uther. How are you doing, Uther? Are you on board with this? Just being up?
Yeah. Uther is like, I think Uther is like, has the fork to his mouth with eggs and is just like, oh right, and drops it and starts scrambling for his gear. And then the revolver comes up. Like, oh yeah.
Oh, well, gentlefolk, I suppose you've come here for what the ministry's always come for, subverting the works of others for their purpose.
It's all our
No,
purpose, friends.
a different reason, Walter. The ministry wishes to know the secrets of the last train, but they are more than willing that you still remain the master of the last train. They just need to know its secrets.
I think he dares to look at the cigarette. He looks at you, and then he looks over you, past you, and says, "Actually, no. Actually, yeah. Let's bring this."
It's not the returning ticket master, is it?
He gives you a pained sort of grimace, and he says, "Well, I hate to disappoint you, sir, but I'm a mere conductrix of the last train. I cannot claim to be its master." And you hear the pounding sound of a carriage door shield kind of being set down behind you. The ministry of our hidden mistress. So you've come here not for knowledge, not to seek, not to go higher, but to follow some pointless cause, says the ticket inspector.
Well, we have weapons ready to go.
I think like the ticket inspector, you can feel Uther, you can feel their gaze fall on you and say, at least one of you is honest with your intentions. Tell me, Firebrand, how would one use this train, this contraption, for the good of drow kind?
I can't speak to what powers this thing. That all of that is outside of the things that I understand. But when I look out in the city, I see our people oppressed, and whatever secrets, and technology, and magic is within this train, it gets us that much closer to being equals, if not superiors, to the Alfear.
This is going to be a roll. This is going to be against, like, this is going to be a chance to reduce her resistance. Resistance is kind of like the amount of stress an NPC has, and it can be reduced by multiple ways. Usually shooting them adds to that. But there are other ways, like trying to get through to them. And seeing as you are our firebrand, that seems like speaking from your heart seems like the way to do it. So I will say though, she has a difficulty of 2. So, yeah, so let's make that dice roll. And don't worry even though if you only have 1 die and it says difficulty of 2, you always roll at least 1 die. You always have it'll just reduce down to a minimum of 1. You don't get negative die. But this sounds like a compel. Right?
So, okay, yeah, I was going to ask, so this is a compel. And so my force of personality advance says, once per session, declare you possess a domain or skill that you don't actually have, and you are treated as having access to it until the end of the situation. Your natural bravado and charisma are enough to carry you through, even with your lack of applicable knowledge.
Nice.
Well, now I'm being gamey because I'm thinking even if I use that puts me at 3. The 2 cuts it down to 1. I get to roll 1 regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That is
actually,
but if somebody assists you and you use that,
yeah,
that would then give you 2 dice, even at the -2.
Yeah.
Also, if you go below 1 die, don't you end up rolling 1, but you reduce your levels of success?
Oh, let me double check. That might be true. I think I'm confusing this with heart now. How dice throwing works. Let me see.
We can get to 2
wait.
with an assist.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's till the end of the situation anyway. So I imagine the situation, right, is not just this 1 roll. It would be while we're here on the train.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, that is true. Yeah, no matter how high the difficulty of a task is, if it's at all possible, you always roll at least 1 die. But yes, for each point of difficulty, they'll take your dice pool to 0 below. The result is downgraded. So if you roll 10, counts as a 9, 9, 8, etc. So let's build this dice pool. So 1 dice for luck, compel. If you use your ability, you can get like a domain, and then someone can assist.
I haven't got compel, so I'm probably not the assister.
I have compel, so remind me what approach you're taking so I can think of an appropriate assist.
So Uther's approach is basically a heartfelt, appeal of resistance that whatever this train is and represents and whatever powers it, it will be of service to the drow in throwing off their shackles.
So I think I come up and I kind of put my hand on your shoulder in a kind of gesture of solidarity and kind of that we're all in this together.
I love it. Okay, cool. So I think that's 40-10. Well,
Yeah, difficulty
minus
of 2.
so 2.
Yeah, 2.
All right, here we go.
Let's see. How is
All right, a 5 and a 10.
Oh God! Wow. Okay. Let's see. What is the stress die of your appeal? It's a D6. For reasons you'll find out soon, but only a D6.
Okay, so D6
And
4.
4. Okay. So +1 because with a 10 you inflict +1 stress for every 10 you rolled. So it's actually a 5. Ooh. Okay. So the fun thing is like the ticket inspector has a quirk where its difficulty is 2 until you inflict stress on them, at which point it drops to 1. And I think here's why they're not unmoved yet. I think they shift their helmet, and you don't know how they managed to do it, but like I kind of like an opening kind of comes up because you've not seen them around it. It's a cylinder helmet, and there's still like some like weird mask, but you see a hint of like skin. Actually, no, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't want to do this. I just realized I'm looking at the notes. I'm looking at the wrong character. No, the ticket inspector is not. It's not an elf here in disguise. No, that's not it. That was my original plan. I was like, wait, nope, different thing. No, they're not Alfir. I think when they shift their helmet, you can clearly tell that they're Drow. It's a Drow woman, and they kind of like hoist the shield back up, and they say like, "It has taken so long to find this train and to bind it to one will, to figure out its workings, so that I might find some semblance of control where you and our fellow brethren do not have. You wish for me to relinquish this control."
We only wish for you to explain how you control.
I explain it, and it spreads. It spreads. Others may find it. It spreads to you, to the ministry, then to the Drow, and from the Drow to the Alfir and elsewhere. And soon what control I have will just be a sliver.
There was always risk in doing the right thing.
I know you were going to say something?
I was going to say that I would say that knowledge of this magnitude, the ministry does not spread.
I think. Oh, okay. Here's their last test for you. They spread their hands as if like to encompass this room and just say, "If I'm to willingly give this secret, then you've come so far. Try and divine it from this room, from this place. How does one shepherd the last train? If you can find out how, or at least the means, well, who am I to stop you from spreading it?" All right, so we've got a challenge. What do you do? I'm going to turn to each of you. Go ahead, Krell.
Yeah, I think Walter probably still has the key, possibly, or can definitely get us some more information. So
I think Walter has been smoking your cigarette really quickly, as if like, uh, just like looks petrified, and you can tell the ticket inspector is like glaring, a glaring Walter down, and he says, "I had to divide it myself. I had to do the hard work as well. You're gonna have to shoot me all you want, but it's worth finding out for yourself. I'll say that." So just to reiterate where you are, you're in a weird dining car with lots of like round tables. I want to know what your character does, like try and find out how the last train runs.
I think at this point, I am tempted to use one of my abilities, and I think dead drop might work here. The thing which allows me once per session to find a hidden stash of equipment that I think in this case it would have to be a version of me from an anomalous history, because otherwise how would the stash of equipment get on this train? Have been left in place to prepare for this eventuality. And the drop allows you to equip a small group of people with generic equipment to perform a particular task. So I think in this case, the equipment doesn't confer mastery, but
I would say it'll reduce difficulty.
What form of investigatory equipment I could reasonably have kind of maybe a kind of a basic, nothing kind of too complicated, but a kind of basic toolkit for kind of investigating magics of unknown source, kind of maybe a powder that you'd use like a fingerprint powder to kind of see whether there's conduits of power, or and a magnifying glass that when you look through it lets you see things which are normally invisible. Just kind of like
some sort of iron filings, because it's probably to do with electricity. So yeah, a collection of Elena's got a pot of iron filings or something.
Yeah, just kind of like just a few tools like that. Iron filings, a compass, kind of things that let me find the direction of things. I think I just walk up very confidently to a luggage rack and pop it open and pull this out of there without kind of saying anything about it, as if it's the most natural thing in the world. It's like, oh, that's where I left my kit.
The ticket inspector nods approvingly. They're former Vermissian Sage. They know what you're doing. And Walter's just like, fuck.
And I think I hand out these pots of iron filings to all of you and say, well, spread this around then.
When you spread the iron filings, you can see that there are people seated on the seats, and the iron filings cling, and you can see there's like different kinds of shapes, different like mostly humanoid shapes, but there are sometimes there's one that's like that thing looks like an octopusy. Not the movie or the character, but the description that I just made up here. There's one. There's like weird electro ghost-like people sitting on these dining tables. Walter kind of like nods, like, all right. Well, that's a step. What do you do now? It's Elena's play. Uther, what about you?
Can I? Okay, I'm gonna try something. I have no idea if this will work. I have the draw a crowd ability. Once per session, you can draw a crowd to you in a matter of minutes. People will stop what they're doing, as long as it isn't life or death, and listen to what you have to say.
The fun thing with Spire abilities, with advances, is that they're ridiculous. They're bonkers. Um, they're even like some of the low core stuff. They make you feel like quite powerful. And the one thing with running Spire is that like, for especially for seeing those, you gotta do as what the move says, as the text says. There's the cost is like once per session, and it's not fun to shut that down. You know. So I want to know, how does Uther draw these kind of like indefinable spirit, whatever they are, to him?
I think he just moves to the middle of this dining car, in the middle of where they're seated and present, and launches into this sort of like impassioned street side monologue, like you would hear him giving up in the Spire, calling people to join in the fight, to support the resistance. But this time, right, the message is a little different. It is still about the fight and the resistance, but it is imploring these people, whoever they are, to tell us how we can control the last train, to help us in this scenario. Clearly they are of this train, and so we are asking them for their help in this situation, and here's the reasons why, because our people are oppressed, we are the downtrodden, we are the low, and yeah.
Okay. So the move does say you draw the crowd. So I think you see like the iron filings shaped things stand up. And you feel the last train kind of like slow down a bit as they all kind of stand up to pay attention to you. The last train kind of like slows. It becomes more of a gentle as they like listen to you. And I think as when you feel like everyone's kind of gather around you and listen to you, as soon as they stop, suddenly all of you hear them all speak up at once, and it's noisy. It's like and everyone's getting their opinion in. It's like no, we have to go to here, and it's like what the hell, we have stuff to do. It's ridiculous, and Walter's just like, oh, that's why they're meant to be seated, so you can get them back in their seats. Get them back in their seats. And you don't know if what you said, Uther, got to them, but the fact that you can hear them now, or like they're talking to you, I think that's kind of what makes the difference. And I think you can pretty much figure out how the last train works. Well, from there. Walter's just gonna like, all right, okay, no, help me get them all back. Oh, go on, Crown. Sorry, I need there.
Yeah, I was just going to say to Walter, we know your secret now, Walter. So cooperate, assist the ministry. The secret's out there. It'll just go a lot better for you now. Let's assist you in sitting these creatures down.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Isn't it better to be remembered as a hero, somebody that helped the resistance, rather than somebody that impeded it? Your name could be synonymous with the resistance now, Walter, rather than just a footnote of somebody who was pushed aside.
Only if the resistance wins.
Is it not better to be remembered as a lion rather than a coward who would never be remembered?
They take their last puff of the cigarette. be honest. I'd rather not be remembered. I'd rather stay here in a train if that's
Fair
all.
enough, Walter. If that's what you want, that's fine. Just confirm the secrets that we already know, that these creatures control, power the train.
They are a conglomeration of forces, yes. Not exactly sure how they were corralled by these conduits, but they do treat the conduits as places they need to be. I suppose one of the working theories that like they're imprints from when the conduit is made, or at least for each conduit there's like an imprint. You need only look at the conduits and look at these beings here. To be honest, it'll be easy to call the last train. Well, not easy. Reverse engineering, you know, there's a process to it, but find one of those walls, you see what makes it tick, you see how these creatures tick, it will not be hard to call the train.
I will have been nodding my head all throughout this in a completely blank kind of manner, because I've got no technological or occult background. I've got nothing that really sort of links to what the bloke's saying at all, but I'm more than happy to nod my head.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, that kind of like completes your mission, it feels like. I think there's like a moment where like, oh, go ahead, Elena, you're going to do something?
Can I try and do one last? Can I try and do one last thing just to kind of put the cherry on top of this?
Okay.
Which is, I have a advance called dynastic memory, which means that I can, for myself or an ally, channel the power of the ancient houses of the home nations, and I can declare, I can divine which of the houses of the Drow myself or an ally is from, and then from a list, and they, by marking D3 stress to mind, I can declare a power for situation, and I am looking. Let's have a look at this. I'm going to say that John, if Uther wants to be involved here, I'd like to declare that that Uther is of the house of Valois the Silver-Blooded, and when you successfully compel a target, you gain a temporary bond with them. And I'm wondering whether we can try and compel the train.
The train itself.
The train itself.
Oh my gosh. The thing is, well, you know what? I get sure, why not? Train's a bit different from how it's written in the one shot. Sorry, Nathan, if you're watching this. The thing is, like, we're kind of like at the end, and I'm curious to see if you can do it. You kind of have done it, I guess, with the crowd. I guess we just like roll compel to see if like they like you.
What I would love, if I may add to it, is like I would love the ending to be like us arriving on the last train back in the depot, you know, where we met Mote at. And so maybe this compel is to like try and steer it to there.
Okay. All right. One last roll. One die. There's no difficulty for this. You have compel. Yeah, you still don't have the domains for this.
Can
Oh,
I?
did Uther not have
go on.
a domain that would last until the end of a situation?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
I
No,
don't know
yeah.
what a situation is.
We're still in the situation.
But yeah.
I would say that, yeah. So you do have 3. You have
Cool.
technology, natural charisma, and bravado.
So I'll add that one and then re-roll these 2. So 5, 8, and a 1.
All right. So I think we cut to Mote waiting at the depot and kind of like, and she's got a bunch of other like people with her, this group called the Gear Runners, who like, you know, work with the ministry to smuggle stuff. And she's kind of like, well, another group lost to the Vermissian, I guess. All right, I better call in and then the electricity starts like charging, and the sheet of electricity charges up, and the last train bursts into the depot in its like pristine chrome glory, and it just skates by, and Mote's like, well, not like that. It's like, huh. And I guess like the 3 of you like step out, and she's all, oh, go ahead.
Someone order a tray?
I think I kind of want to end it on that note, if that's okay with folks. Yeah, I think that's the last train. Thank you very much, everyone, for playing. That was a lot of fun. I hope everyone had a good time, especially since this is your first time playing Spire. I hope you got like, I get a taste of what you can do. Spire is like one of those games that like, it's weird to do in a one shot, for sure. And it's kind of like the thing that really sings with the campaign. But I hope like everyone is like, you know, appetite's a bit whetted, and I think you can see like how this would like unfurl in a longer like setting. But yeah, glad everyone had fun. I'm gonna stop this recording, but before I go, anyone who's watching this again, this is Spire by Brad Howitt and Christopher Taylor. The scenario is The Last Train by Nathan Blades. You can find it at Spire Shadow Operations. Put a link down for everyone for all of that involved. But yeah, thank you so much. Goodbye, YouTube. Bye bye.